to share about you my reflection about the essay that was written by Dr. Rizal. So the first essay is the Filipinas dentro 100 anos. So I titled about this reflection, great Filipino minds had yet to emerge from the ruins. So Filipinos are reawakened. And this essay reminds Spain of their wrongdoings in the Philippines, which have impacted to our ancient customs, to our recollection, to our literature, as well as the other Filipino fields. So he intended to highlight the horrors of colonial rule in the permitted Philippine at the society at that time, as well as offer a long-term solution to the problem. So, however, there could be other motives and personal agendas behind Rizal's decision to write this particular essay. So, fear may be instilled in the Spanish dictatorship in order for people to abandon the nation. So, second, it could be expressing regret that even if Spain relinquishes sovereignty of the Philippines, other countries will be ready to take over. So finally, he was giving Filipinos hope that as a strong nation would rescue their country for Spain's tyranny soon or later. So Rizal believed that it was past for Spain to be reminded that the events that led to the French Revolution could be a ramification in the Philippines. So farmlands were abandoned of poverty because more rampant than ever. So it was a pointless to keep the people poor. So living in constant poverty, on the other hand, had enabled the Filipinos to act on their desire to change their way of life. So they started looking at new days to advance. So the Filipino people were able to survive wars and famines, and also as a result, uh, they expand in number. So thousands of Spanish soldiers would have a sacrifice to entirely destroy the country, which Spain would not allow. And as a result, Spain was unable to prevent the country's development. So she must adjust her colonial policies to fit the needs of the Philippine society and the people's rising aspirations. So overall, the Spaniards attempt to keep a Filipinos uninformed and dumb failed because they were intent on establishing Philippine control. So the Filipino developed a sense of national identity, allowing them to rise from Spain's wreckage. So keeping Filipinos poor was also a failure. So the Filipino, the people of the Philippines, which is the Filipino who were living in poverty, resolved to take in action to improve their position. And Filipinos survived wars and famines. Therefore, eradicating the race failed. And the history may have repeated itself 100 times by now, but today's struggle was not the same as the one fought by our predecessors, and it is now a designed to serve as a warning message. The 4th century old colonizations of foreign minds by Spaniards is now being matched by the colonizations of our foreign minds. So the 4th century old colonizations of foreign minds by Spaniards is um, now being matched by the colonizations of foreign minds by our own compatriots. So let us continue examine the implications of the Spaniards' wrongdoings against us with our minds. So accept our past, however damaged and wounded it may be. So the next is the por telefono. And this reflection I titled about the victory of death over life. So por telefono, the symbolism of por telefono is abundant. It reveals how friars spent their lives and how they express gratitude to illustrate for their generosity. So every word spoken in Madrid has reverberated throughout the Philippines. So by telephone, he exposes the friars' control in his days with sarcasm and irony. The mystical sights of the friars, here as they prayed with a great piety before the sacred images, was well as their humble talk, words of conformity and resignation, and even their thanksgiving for the alm of rice and fishes, and the people gave out of compassion of their fasting and abstinence. Abstinence. So it could be here in Madrid, thanks to the perfection of the instrument. And even the silence that existed in the refectories could be transmitted. And from the noise of mastication, it could be determined that even the most glutinous of the friars did not consume more than five mouthfuls per day. So each day, an eagle comes consume his liver, only for it to regrow at night, allowing the eagle to devour it again the next day. And also, as he created a similar scenario represented on his painting. I'd like to believe Rizal was thinking of the immense potential of Filipinos, bounded by bounded by 300 years of superstition, ignorance, and feudalism. So Hercules finally kills the eagle and frees Prometheus. So if you know the story, and I am a optimistic about who will be the Hercules of the Philippines, someone who will empower every Filipino. So science triumph over death. So the next is the vision of the Fray Rodriguez. So I titled about this that Filipino has lack of cohesion. So Jose Rizal also noted that Filipinos lack in unity and collaboration in response to the country's plight, and that they lack the capacity of combat that brutal attacks and ongoing corruption that suppresses our liberty. So the Filipinos were taught by the Spanish colonists, notably the merciless friars, so that affluent people do not have a place in paradise, but the impoverished do. So, forcing them to give more and more to the churches, which are taught by the friars false teaching of their own enjoyment, to the point where the Filipinos have nothing left. So, for me, indolence among Filipinos still persists today as a result of enormous corrupt government officials. Um, their meaningless improvement of promised by these politicians. So, our inequality, ignorance, and most importantly, syempre, the poverty. So, in conclusion, Jose Rizal claimed that primary reasons of indolence are lack of education. So, training and a lack also of appreciation of our nationality and togetherness. So, and according to Jose Rizal, liberty and education will be the cure of Filipino indolence. So the next is the No Limitang Here. And I titled about this, The Life of Juan Crisostomo Ibarra. So he is a youthful, optimistic man that comes home after 7 years in Europe. And like his father, Don Rafael, the affluent mestizo, works for change. So mainly in the area of education, in order to eradicate poverty and better the lives of his people. So Ibarra was motivated to assault Padre Damaso after learning of his father's death and the rejection of a Catholic funeral for his father. So, which led to his excommunication. The excommunication was eventually lifted after the government general intervened. And Ibarra's deadliest opponent was when Padre Salvi accused him of insurgency. So Ibarra's letter to Maria Clara, his sweetheart, was used against him. So Maria Clara would inform Ibarra later in the tale that she did not collaborate to prosecute him. So before she was born, she was forced to offer Ibarra's letter in return of his mother's letter. So Maria Clara discovered that her mother's letter regarding the regarding their unborn child were sent to Padre Damaso, indicating that she is the priest's biological daughter rather than her father, Capitan Chago. So meanwhile, Ibarra and Alias were able to flee the prison with Ibarra. So who had also been treated unfairly by the authorities. So Maria Clara was also able to talk with Ibarra about the letters, and Ibarra forgave her. And Ibarra and Elias retreat to the lake, but the Guardia Civil pursues them, and one was shot, but the other is still alive. And then Maria Clara entered the nunnery instead of Marian Alfonso Linares after hearing the news. So the severely wounded Elias discovered the kid Basilio um, and his dead mother, Sisa. When he learned that her children had been accused of thievery by the sacristan mayor, she went insane. And then Basilio was told by Elias to dig for his and Sisa's tombs because there is a buried wealth that he may be utilized to further his schooling. So the last one is the El Filibusterismo, written by Dr. Rizal. And I titled about this is the Spaniards as ruthless and completely evil. So El Fili, everyone says it considerably darker and more savage than Noli Me Tangere. But El Filibusterismo is a turning moment in history with several murders, sexual abuse, and suicide, and not just because of the narrative, but also because of the people. So, in the novel, Crisostomo Ibarra matured as a character. So, he's clearly not the idealistic and open person he used to be. He became vengeful, enraged, and crafty in certain ways. And so, much is human and true. So, after everything he's been through with Noli Me Tangere, it just seems right that he becomes with Simoon. And I think that would, when Ibarra adopted the alias Simoon, he did not only abandon his original name, but he also abandoned any traces of one Crisostomo Ibarra. So Ibarra is not Simoon, and Simoon is not Ibarra, so in my opinion. And they have the same faces, but if we're not talking about physical features, the only thing they had in common was their love for Maria Clara. Apart from that, they don't have the same mind, plans, souls, or heart. So this is Monson Rizalee. Thank you for listening my vlog. Thank you for watching. God bless you all.